Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 294, Birds in Legend and Folklore. This is a full-length work, 256 pages in length. Link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs. Haven't made the blog post for it yet, but it'll go under the Folklore heading. This is a massive compilation of extremely dense lore related to everything ornithological within a folkloric context. And you gotta understand, when you're talking about religious or spiritual symbolism, cryptozoology at times comes in here. Birds feature heavily in virtually any culture. So like the Roman eagle, there's a whole backstory there. By the way, the divergent sort of two-headed eagle along with that. It talks about Ben Franklin, by the way. It talks a little bit about civics as well, like Ben Franklin wanting to make the turkey the symbol of the U.S. And they said, well, no, we're going to go with the eagle because that's sort of, what people do. And it's funny because the eagle actually, like character-wise, can be a bit of an asshole. So they were pointing that out as well. But the symbolism and even like the superstitious uses of like eggs and feathers and stuff comes in here, but that takes a backseat. A lot of it is religious lore. Lore about like how the dove became a symbol of Christianity, how crows became black, and there's like a dozen different backstories. The meaning of birds within societies differs. In one society, a raven might be a good omen. In another one, it might be the herald of death because it eats carrion. And so it goes through all of these different cultures and periods of time. It spans basically all of human history. It would be impossible to even like recount it all. You'd need a 10-part video series to go through a few chapters. It's dense. This is more of a studied work. This is more on the academic end as far as the lore goes. Some of the works of folklore that I've released have been more, I don't think you'd call them lighthearted, but just they're not as, then it's not like a school book sort of thing. This one is, with some citations and notes and so forth, a large bibliographic appendix as well, which can be quite useful. The amount of cryptozoology in there as well, for those of us who are into that side of sort of the weirder and sometimes modern folklore. You have stories of the phoenix and the roc and all of their allies related in folklore. And sometimes you can sort of trace the lineage, especially in the terms of the Mediterranean basin and parts of southern Europe through the Near East. There is an interchange between different cultures sometimes, and sometimes they run up against each other. Like you had, there's one section here, I think it's like 5 pages long, of nothing but comparing different Native American tribes and the way in which they portrayed the crow. And then some birds are more famous than others. The crow is a big one, the dove, the eagle, and a few others. The peacock has, an entire half section in here, specifically because of its usage. It's like the peacock actually points out here was actually sort of a stand-in for the phoenix, because when the explorers went out, of course, they didn't actually find a bird that bursts into flames at 100 years old and then is born from its own ashes. They didn't find that. So they got the next best thing, which was the peacock, because it was big and showy, and it sort of looks magical, even though it's completely useless for most purposes. Although it does list that there is one purpose, that the peacock has a tendency to alert people to if a large predator is nearby. So I guess that was the primary. They were the guards. Your guard a peacock in the European palace. It's a really good book overall. It is highly recommended for those that are interested in folklore. Again, link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links to my books blogs. I do have a lot of other works on folklore. A lot of it's on botanical lore. There's only a few on animals, actually. But I'm interested in it in general, cryptozoology, everything associated with it. So it was definitely a fun time editing this. And of course, again, it is a full-length work. This isn't like some of the works that I release are shorter. They're like under 100 pages, because a lot of the philosophical stuff, it tends to be short. It was meant for people to be able to easily digest and travel and things like that, to be easily carried. This, of course, is more studious than that. That's about all. Peace out.